But if everyone kind of knows how to get shit done, aside from this AI point, why does it matter? Why do we need to have this codified?
Oh, Ian, how could you? You're breaking my PMI heart here. Come on. Oh.
Hello and welcome to episode 335 of the Rockstar CMO effing Marketing Podcast, a proud member of the Marketing Podcast Network. It's Saturday the 15th of August. I'm your host, Ian Truscott. I'm not a rockstar, but I am a 4-time B2B CMO, and I hope you're well and staying as sane as you feel you need to be. The intention of this podcast is to inspire your inner marketing rockstar, and for this week's dose of Marketing Street Knowledge, Kathy is back to dive into her Bare Essentials blog series and talk about how our marketing org charts are not how shit gets done. And sadly, talking of getting shit done, Robert needed to and was not able to join me in the bar this week. But before I join Kathy, we need to pay the bar tab anyway. I'll be back in a moment.
We'll be right back. After this word.
We'll be right back.
After this word. We'll be right.
This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
This episode is brought to you by PayPal. You had plans for the last days of summer. And back-to-school shopping has its own plans. School supplies, dorm essentials, your list doesn't stop. Neither does the spending. But when you pay in 4 with PayPal, you can pay over time. No interest, no fees. Check out with PayPal and get back to summer. Subject to approval. Learn more at paypal.com/payin4. PayPal Inc. NMLS 910457.
Welcome back, Kathy, to Rockstar CMO FM. How are you?
I'm well, Ian. How are you?
I'm doing very well. You're just fresh back from vacation.
I am just back from a week at the lake, and it was lovely.
Yeah, although the weather here has been so good, tried to enjoy it a bit, but we're like, I don't know, 60 days or something of no rain, which is unheard of for us.
That's got to be a record for you guys.
Yeah, it's something like that. But it's, we've had little showers, but meaningful rain, I think is the way they describe it. But yeah, it's been the same for us. And we always have to do the garden update. I've got no garden update because everything's dry. And so I keep trying to keep everything alive in pots. But what have you come back to?
Part of my garden is doing well. I have more cucumbers than I know what to do with. Unfortunately, my fully grown adult children neglected to water any of my flower pots that weren't part of the garden and don't have an irrigation. So looking quite sad, but that's okay. I think all but one will come back, and it's getting to the point where I'd be thinking about switching them over anyway. So all good.
Right. Nice. All right. So I have to remember every week to be careful about how I do this, but I couldn't ignore your Bare Essentials that I was looking at a couple of weeks ago, and you wrote this about the title of your Bare Essentials, I think from 2 weeks ago, was "Your Marketing Org Chart is Fiction."
Yes,
and I didn't quite spit out my tea when I saw it, but it's a bold post, Kathy. So I thought that we'd dive into that, and just to because I've dived in. I should, for people that haven't heard us talk before, you do a weekly series called Bare Essentials on the 7th Bare website, and I have plucked one of those from 2 weeks ago. So you were talking about the reality of how decisions are really made in organizations, and one bit that really made me laugh out loud, so maybe I did spit out some tea, is how decisions are made and which VP everyone quietly roots around. So I was rather hoping I'd never been that guy. But what's the reality you're seeing in your clients about this marketing org being fiction?
So org charts are meant to show a reporting structure, right? So who's the boss of who, and who should be who's responsible for building and coaching the next layer down, right? And hopefully that's happening. It's not meant to be process-based. Just because it's in an org chart doesn't mean that's how decisions have to flow, right? Content moves sideways. It moves between silos. It moves for different channels and whatnot. And nobody designs process for sideways. They look at the org chart and just, follow the food chain, so to speak. So what we find almost always is that the real operating model isn't actually documented. It's unknown. And now what's happening is that's being hard-coded into AI workflows, right? And it's not working, right? The work gets done in an informal network. And if anybody's listening who actually has a solid process documented with roles and responsibilities and it's followed, please reach out via LinkedIn. I would love to have a conversation with you. But it's the routing. It isn't about the individual. So yes, it was cheeky, and I was trying to get a rise, but they don't route around individuals because it's personal. They route around to be efficient and to try and be effective, right? So they route around those who are slow, those who reopen decisions that have already been made, and those who don't really belong in the process, but always try and insert themselves into it anyways because they're the boss. And I put that in air quotes. So you have things like the unofficial gatekeeper. So the work gets done by the unofficial gatekeeper, that mid-level role that maintains the CMS, that runs the content calendar, that has the budget code that you need, right? Not the VP. And then, there's always that person in legal, that one person in legal that everybody knows to go to because they get it, they understand. That's not process. That's just a relationship. So often decisions, you might have that official planning meeting, that strategy meeting or content governance team meeting, but the decisions are made beforehand. It's the people, they have the call offline ahead of the official meeting, and then they go in and they go, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea, and they ratify it, right? But the discussion and the how you got there is happening outside of everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. So the workarounds become the official path. And how do you follow that?
Yeah. And the reason why I really enjoyed your point about the VP everyone quietly roots around is because I've worked in an environment where I was leading the content team, but everything needed to be routed through this sort of VP of product type role, the CPO, I suppose you'd call it now. And that person had no bandwidth, but if anything went before them, they were so detail orientated and so focused on the product features and functions that it was impossible. And everything would come back redlined and so we would have meetings where the meeting was principally about how do we get this piece of content out without touching the need for it to go to this particular person, and that actually changed the content, right? Because and what you're trying to get done. And I thought that was really interesting, like when you kind of singled that thing out, because it doesn't just change the process and how fast things get done; it can actually change the product that you ship, right?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So you touched on AI there, and it would be remiss of me not to mention AI because it's disrupting teams right now, and I don't think I'm allowed to do an episode of Rockstar CMO without mentioning AI. But is that part of the problem? Like that it's disrupting the way decision work is being done? Or is it that we need to get our shit together to make the most of the AI opportunity, or is it a bit of both? Where do you see AI?
So it's definitely the latter, right?
Yeah.
So AI didn't create the gap. What it did was shine a light on it, right? You can't automate a process that you can't describe, and most teams can't describe how their work gets done because it's not a process. It's just a way for them to get to the finish line. So that unofficial meeting you were just talking about where, okay, how do we do this so that so-and-so, won't redline it, or that it'll get approved, or, that product marketing won't freak out because they think you're stepping on their toes, or that kind of thing, right? So what teams are doing now is they're building process and agents, God forbid, against the documented workflow, that really pretty flow chart with all the right arrows and the diamonds and the squares and the whatevers, that nobody's ever followed, right? It's really, really hard, and the output lands, and then it goes through the same informal rework loop that it always did, right? So you put this in, and the output isn't right, or it gets stopped or blocked, and so that it comes out of the process, it gets fixed on the background, and then it gets put back in, and so cycle times don't actually get any better. Your time to market isn't improving, right? You've just added steps and called it automation, which isn't good, right? And it's a really big risk that throwing AI into an informal network, because the coordinators, the producers, the project managers, those are the people that are actually getting the work through, and cutting them out and the tacit knowledge that goes with them, you're, in a word, screwed. To use the vernacular, because they're the ones who actually know how to get things done, right? All based on relationships, and AI adds volume, right? Everybody's so excited because you went from being able to produce 40 to 400 pieces of content. Well, an approval path based on relationships can handle 40 pieces of content a month. It can't handle 400. Right? And so it shatters.
Yeah. But also, don't you think as well, I mean, my example was, there's no doubt that the person we were trying to get things through had a lot of knowledge. It was just an inappropriate amount of knowledge for the content we were producing. But there is an element of that, isn't there, with AI, and that it builds this false confidence. And you actually need the people who are the subject matter experts to have a look at it first and get it through. So workflow is important, approval is important. But are you saying that that we, if you were writing a piece of content and it was about a particular topic, you just knew who the guy was or the gal down the hall who knew about this stuff, and you would take it to them. But it was never codified that if this is about our content delivery features, go speak to this person in product marketing.
Correct. Yeah. So, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that every company, every org, every team should pause AI and fix their ops before proceeding. Absolutely not, right? That's a 18-month, 2-year detour that no exec is going to approve or fund. It's not going to happen. Yeah. So, when you have the other thing complicating it too that I wanted to mention is that you have your official AI tools within the org, those that have been sanctioned, and then you also have your shadow AI stack that everybody's using. Right? It's the same thing. We've talked about it before when we talked about MarTech stacks, right? Is you have the official stack that everybody, that the company's paying for and whatnot. And then you have the, 1, 2, 3 tools that you pay for out of your pocket because they help you get your work done. They keep you organized. They live outside. The same thing's happening with AI. So regardless of the AI tools that you're using, whether they're built into your marketing tools, like your CMS or otherwise, whether you are a co-pilot shop or whatnot, everybody is using a sidebar thing, right? So now you have this shadow AI stack running a shadow org with shadow tools. Like it's just, it's very shady to totally belabor that analogy. So run pilots, right? And when I say a pilot, I really mean a pilot. A pilot is a well-defined, small scope subset of work that gets done and run it against that and learn, right? Look where it actually helps. Where does it fall? Where does it completely fail? And typically where things fail, that's where the shadow org, where like things actually get done versus the official pretty documented, that's the boundary. That's the border. That's where they run into each other. So look to there and start with the fixes.
Yeah, your point there. I mean, I want to give a shout out to your bearings table event because that really came across with the. I was fortunate enough you let me sit on the sideline and watch, and you had some really good people there, and we can't talk about who they were or what they said because of Chatham House rules. But what I did get a sense of was these are senior content leaders struggling with that bring your AI to work thing, right? As well as the tools that they were sanctioning.
Yep.
And how do you train an AI you don't own to speak in your brand voice and all that kind of stuff? So all of this content needs to go through the official workflow channels and go and make sure that it's done that. Whatever tool has touched it, right?
Yeah. So it's but it's true. And that's where, all of these tech audits that are happening or happened. So many of them didn't actually end up resulting in anything because a lot of them, I think, were done from a wrong direction. But is understanding the tools that work, right? Enable the teams to use them. And so when you're going through this, whether it's the pilot, whether it's analysis of documenting what actually how work gets done, it's not just, okay, who's doing what, how are they doing it, what's the before and after, but what are the tools that they're using, both sanctioned and not, and how are they using them? Because some of the stuff teams are, the official process analysis is trying to figure out. Individuals have figured it out, so ask them. Save the time. They already got it, right? So just ask them to document it.
Yeah. Are you also seeing, and we're kind of wandering off the topic of your piece now, but are you also seeing, it's a tension we talked about a couple of times, this tension between the fact that we're all encouraged to use these AI tools and we're all discouraged from using these AI tools because the bosses of these teams that you're talking about don't want the company to produce AI slop. But on the other hand, they want to fire people and they want to create the efficiencies that you get through AI, right? So are you seeing that tension as well? And is that an important part of this process?
It is. And I think, there, even a year and a half ago, the great marketing firing, they just, teams were decimated. And not to say that they didn't need some culling. A lot of teams grew exponentially, particularly during COVID. And unfortunately, what we've found is a lot of the people who have been let go aren't the right ones. So they wiped out a layer that not only understood the company and the brand and how things worked, but also how to manage up, how to connect with the executives, how to get things through the process. So that internal, that knowledge that was built up. So they took out this middle layer who could actually do all the things, right? And that left senior leadership who they're too busy. This isn't their job, is to get content done, right? It's setting direction and strategy and whatnot. And this lower level of group who are tactical and they can do things, but they can't tie them together, right? And so the same tension has been, I would say, exponentially tightened because of the different AI tools and the expectations and the disconnect. We talked about that too at our bearings table. Is efficiency is one thing it's happening on a huge scale. The number of pieces and whatnot. Great. But that's not what leadership's looking for. It's like, what can you use AI for that we couldn't do before? Right? Yes. How do you add? What's the net new? Great for efficiency, fantastic.
Yeah.
But what else? Yeah. That's not worth the investment.
Yeah. That we've talked about the ROI last time you and I chatted. We were talking about the ROI of AI, and it's such a minefield because it's so muddy, isn't it? Because people are doing net new things. They're also doing things that they used to do, but more inefficiently, oddly enough, because AI adds a bit of time to it, as we've discussed. But also, and it's also allowing you to, do things a lot faster, and but the quality goes down. So there's like a quadrant, isn't there? I think Robert has shared a quadrant like that. Yeah. So it's interesting that. But if I get back to your article, and I'd love you to come back on the show, and I'm worried if I ask this question because I know you love order and process. But if everyone kind of knows how to get shit done, aside from this AI point, why does it matter? Why do we need to have this codified?
Oh, Ian, how could you? You're breaking my PMI heart here. Come on. Oh.
I'm asking for the listener.
It really does matter. And I know you and I joke about my tendency to lean into process and governance, which I stand by, but just getting shit done, if it isn't stable, right, it's super fragile. And it's like right now, it's a single point of failure that nobody's named, right?
Yeah.
When that individual who's been there, they know who to go, like I said earlier, they know who to go to in legal, they know what this word actually means when an executive asks. They're not actually asking for X, they're looking for Y, that kind of stuff. Output falls apart, time to market gets longer, and everybody knows, but nobody will admit it. Nobody wants to say, oh my gosh, if Ian wins the lottery and doesn't show up for work tomorrow, we're screwed. We say it out loud. We tell teams that all the time. Like, you realize you have 2 people on your team that if they're in a lottery pool and they win and they don't show up, you guys are in a heap of trouble, right? Without process, it's expensive, even if it's not a clear budget line, right? There's no budget line that says process.
No.
But, it shows up in when people are asking, why does it take 11 weeks to write a case study? That's process. Exactly. That's a lack thereof, right? New markets, new agencies, new tech, new CMO, those sever formal ties. Those completely can shatter what was otherwise kind of sort of working in the shit getting done, right? And I think one of the biggest things is, or two of the biggest things is, as you bring on new team members, they get trained. They spend their first, 30, 60 learning the org and learning the official, what's documented process. Here's all the things that are written down and then it takes them another 3 to 6, 8, 9 months to learn how it actually gets done. Right? Because nobody's, you don't officially teach that, but they learn it. And somebody will say, oh yeah, no. Go to Joe. He knows that. Or, go to Linda. Go to that. And as the last point is, as executives are leaning more into, okay, so we made the investment, what did we get out of it, right? ROI thankfully went away for a while. About 10, 15 years ago, it was all about proving ROI, right? You got a new piece of tech, well, what's the ROI going to be on that? You're gonna hire somebody, well, what's the ROI on the investment of that? All of this, and then it kind of backed off a little bit, which I was really happy to see, and now it's back, right? But you can't govern or prove or measure what you can't see and what you don't understand. So measurement, sure, we talked about this, I think, on the show a couple of times ago, and during Bearing's Table is, great. You're producing 400 assets a month. What does that mean? Like, who cares? What's the impact? So companies are measuring the quantifiable, like the number of things, but you need to measure what comes before it hits a channel. And so many organizations don't do that, right? It's the process. How long does it take? Where, how many edit cycles typically on X? Is it too many? Where is it getting hung up? Understanding, having a process that's documented, you can thus then measure what's working and what's not, and continually work to improve that. I mean, that's what we get into when we talk about content orchestration, which I promise I won't get into right now. But if you don't know how things work, you can't ever get beyond operations.
But the other thing, of course, this all ties back to what we were just now talking about, which is the fact that companies made sort of firing decisions or downsizing or efficiency saving decisions, however we want to coach that. But if they made those decisions without understanding the role everybody played in the processes, then you are going to make mistakes, because nobody knew that Bill was the subject matter expert on everything that everybody always went to. But if you looked at him on a spreadsheet, you wouldn't know that, right? So I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So anyway,
one more thing, and one other thing too is, when we go in and work with clients, and we talk about documenting the actual process, and people are like, oh my gosh, no, then, it's gonna, it's gonna be so inefficient, and, let's just start net new. And I will tell you that every time we've gone in and mapped the shadow org, right, the way things are actually getting done, it's actually been more efficient. We've deleted steps.
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Because half of the documented approvals, they're not happening anyways, right? And they don't need them, right? So okay, how does work get done? And it's a long process. This isn't a half an hour conversation. This is
No,
like,
absolutely.
it takes time. It's a lot of conversations. It's a lot of double checking. It's a lot of like trying to match things up. And then we look at the official pretty org, as we say, or the pretty process. And it's always more efficient. Anytime we've done that, it's come out more efficient to actually leverage. There's some changes typically. You don't just take how it's working now because it's too willy-nilly, but it's better. How things that's why they do it, because it is better than the official. If the official worked, they follow it.
Yeah, that's a good point. So apart from calling you in to review their processes,
Yes, please.
what should marketing leaders be doing instead? I mean, you've touched on a few of these things during our conversation, but what are the key things that people need to be looking out for in their org chart being fiction?
Yeah, so stop with the reorgs. Reorg is not the fix. It moves these boxes. It doesn't address the actual work paths that are happening. So if you need to reorg because there's a change, fine, right? But don't think that's going to fix process.
Right.
Take your trace a decision path, the actual decision path, your top 5, 6, whatever it is. Who was consulted? Who overrode it? Who really needs to approve it versus who should have, right?
Yeah.
How long did it take, etc. And that's your operating model. Right. And you can't just do it for one thing. You've got to look at sort of the big work efforts that you do in terms of content and having a shared nomenclature helps. So, whether it's ebook, whether it's campaign, and everybody's talking the same language. But look at that, right? Legitimize what works, right? And fix what creates risk. So not all informal is bad. I'm not talking everything. If it isn't listed somewhere, you can't do it. But most of it is adaptation to efficiency, right? So promote it to official. Make it work, and look at if somebody says no, we can't do that. Ask them why. What's the risk, right, on both sides of doing it or not? Document the tacit before you lose it. Right? Retention risk right now is huge. So many people are just like looking for change. It's crazy. And that's an operational risk. Right? And start with whoever you'd panic about losing. Like think about that person, like, oh my gosh, if they left, we're toast. Start there. And, obviously we've said it before, design the AI against the actual path, right? Not the org chart. And this is one of the toughest ones. But talk to that routed around VP. Ask the question out loud, right? So why, ask the team, why don't you go to them? Why are you trying to avoid them? But also ask them, why do you think it is? Right? Exactly, is it, are they inflexible? Are they slow? Is it like your thing where they take it beyond? And one of the easiest fixes for once you've got sort of the roles and responsibilities is a RACI or something similar, right? Responsible, accountable, consulted, informed.
Yeah.
And don't do that in a vacuum.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? All the classics, they're still relevant. A RACI, for example. And I also think you see this in a lot of growing tech organizations because you've got a senior executive who, when the organization was 30 people in size or 10 people in size, he's like, well, I've always reviewed all of these things. So, of course, now the scale is off the charts and they still want to review them with the same level of detail because they care about they feel like they're the only one who can really talk in the company's voice or something like that, or really talk about the features of the product. Sometimes it's just the organization hasn't scaled from that perspective, isn't it? Yeah. So I love how you finish each of these things with try this with your team. And I think you might have touched on this a little bit already, but what should we be trying this week if we're worried about our org chart being fiction?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, take the last major content decision, last couple, whatever.
Yeah.
Write down every single person who influenced the outcome. Writers, editors, subject matter experts, legal, execs, agency, a friend in product, right? Like, and now once that's done, circle the ones who actually should be in an approval workflow, right?
Yeah.
That's your operating structure. And if you really want to get it right so that it's not a, groupthink, is have everybody do it independently first, then compare it in the room, right? And there's lots of tools you can use so that it's, you can actually pull it up and not have to do too much work on it. But it's, the value isn't the list, it's in the disagreement, right? Where you're aligned, that's easy. That's a tick box. Great. Done. It's where there's a disagreement, right? If 4 people named 4 different approvers, that's a huge thing to fix. 20 minutes, no budget needed, addressed. Moving on, right?
Yeah. I love it. So that article was in your Bare Essentials weekly post. It's not a newsletter. What am I thinking? Weekly series is the word I'm looking for, called Your Marketing Org is Fiction. And I encourage people to go and look at that on the 7th Bear website. What have you got coming up, Cassie?
So conference season starts in September. My first one, I believe, is Dreamforce in September.
Nice.
We have another bearings table coming that should be up on the site soon. So we'd love people to come and sign up for that and join us for that. That'll be in September. And and then I think this week we did a piece of research that we shared an early sneak peek for the bearings table, and I'm going to publish that this week. So
nice. Well, as we're recording this on Monday and the show goes out on Saturday, hopefully I can include it in the show notes.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, it's splendid to speak to you again, Kathy. I look forward to, I hope you're going to join us in a month's time or whenever it is that we chat next time. Splendid. And when people spin the dial on the interwebs, where do they find you, Kathy?
LinkedIn, Kathy with a C, McKnight, and Instagram, purely personal stuff, but I'm into photography, so there's some cool stuff there sometimes, and check me out there.
Cool.
And of course, 7bear.com.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Kathy. I'll speak to you in a couple of weeks.
All right. Thanks, Ian.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Thank you, Kathy. As a new CMO, you definitely need to figure out how shit gets done, and it's not always reflected on the org chart. And I've heard a lot of CMOs talk about doing a listening tour in their first 90 days. Clearly, this should be part of that. So that's a wrap on episode 335 of the Rockstar CMO effing marketing podcast. Thank you for putting a dime into your podcasting jukebox, selecting our track, and jiving along with us. I've been your host, Ian Truscott. You can find links to our little band and the articles we discussed in the show notes, along with links to our blog, newsletter, and all of our previous episodes at rockstarcmo.com. Or follow us and join the conversation on LinkedIn. Next week, Robert has promised he'll definitely be in the bar, and I'm planning a solo about the real 4 Ps of marketing, which hopefully you'll enjoy. In the meantime, I leave you with this quote from Zig Ziglar. You don't build a business, you build people, and people build the business.
NFL football season is here, which means when you switch to Verizon, it feels like touchdown, because you get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube on us when you buy an eligible 5G phone on select unlimited plans, which means you can watch every out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon, and it's all on us. Now that's the Verizon way to kick off the NFL football season right. Switch and get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube on us, only with Verizon.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.